Hi, welcome to Yoga Wellness Money. I'm Trisha Monroe, and I'm here to just share thoughts and tips with a community of women and hopefully be a resource either as a trusted advisor, a friend, or like a sister. I know that when I, even most recently, went through something pretty traumatic to me, I actually turned to YouTube and I searched out queries and found people that could teach me something or had already been through something. And I was so grateful for that resource. And so today I want to talk about that. How will I get through this? And whether this means a breakup, a sudden loss, an illness of ourself, a family member, a child, no matter what we're going through, we are meant to go through trials and tribulations. There is no such thing as a positive attitude that will cause you to coast through life. That's just not the reason why we're here. I believe one of the reasons why we're here is to become a better person. And there's really no better way to grow and expand and deepen our character unless we go through really hard things. And those really hard things are like we're the coal and we're having pressure placed on us. And hopefully that pressure doesn't decimate us or make us bitter, but it turns us into a diamond and it ennobles us and helps us to be better as we move through life. And so don't look on your trials as some sort of punishment or something you did wrong. I mean, sometimes things that happen are a natural consequence of choices we've made, but a lot of times it's not. A lot of times it's just things that are other people's choices or things that just happen that are just part of our life mission to come here and to go through. So with that in mind, I just want to talk about a few tips that I incorporated to get through my really challenging time. I mean, it just happened a couple months ago. That's why I haven't posted any YouTube videos. It was shocking. It was unexpected. It was brutal. It was like being discarded like a piece of garbage. So it doesn't feel good. But what I did is I drew on resources that I already had inside myself and habits I had already developed. And I want to talk to you about some of those things because maybe if you're going through something, you can either draw on some of your own habits that you've already done that are really good for you or you've done in the past, or you can borrow some of these. But either way, at the end of this video, I want you to make a list of your recovery plan. And I want your recovery plan to 85% involve you because you are the one that really heals yourself at the end of the day. Just like you get a bad cut and you go to the doctor and you get stitches, the stitches help with the healing and aid with the healing to keep the cut closed, but ultimately it's your own body that heals you. And it's the same principle with emotional healing. So that said, the first thing I want you to do, which doesn't involve just yourself, but I want you to call if you have an employer that has an EAP, an employee assistance plan, call and get those free therapy sessions. And hopefully you can go to a good therapist. And if you're not comfortable with a therapist you may already have, search for a new one, but change until you find somebody that really validates your experience and understands the role of other people in your life, but most importantly, keeps the session focused on you and what you can do to either have better boundaries or learn to value yourself more. Whatever it is, I want to make sure that you don't waste your hard-earned money talking about another person, because talking about the other person isn't going to necessarily heal you, and it's certainly not going to change anything about them. The best thing you can do with your hard-earned money is use that therapy session to focus on things that you can control, that you can change, that can help you heal improve, grow, and choose or attract better things in the future. The second thing, which isn't just you, but it's something that helped me, is I got on YouTube. I learned about a certain personality type, and I started Googling about it. And I learned a lot about this personality type. And yes, it sort of focused on the other person, but it helped me understand a pattern. Because a lot of times we're living in patterns, either in our lives individually or with another person that we aren't even aware of because we've been in it for so long. But sometimes when you can step back or you're out of a situation, you can see a pattern. And so not only did I watch YouTube videos to learn more about this particular personality type, but I also went back through my journals and I mapped out the relationship. And I had a baseline when things are kind of like, middle, good, content. And then I drew, either above the line for good times or below the times for bad times. I did this for just the first year of dating because quite frankly, it took me an entire 2 hours to map out just the first year. But even that first year dating, ironically, a lot of things that showed up in the first year dating are what showed up 9 years later in a marriage. So I think the lesson there is that I want to share right now, which I'm just now thinking of, is that first year you're with somebody, those red flags, those things you see, don't ignore them. Don't think that more love, marriage, children will cure those things, because those things, although they might go away temporarily or they rise to be the kind of person that you require or that your boundaries require, a lot of times, there's always a baseline of a person, how far they're willing to slip back. So just keep that in mind and value yourself to move on from a relationship that isn't as healthy or as happy as it should be. As long as, and especially if you are already married, do that in marriage therapy. Give your all, give your best to work on yourself, to work on the relationship, to give all you can to your family. But if you are just dating, do not stay. I can't emphasize that enough. If you're seeing things, if they've made choices, if things really have given you anxiety or pause, just be willing to cut bait and move on, because the faster you move on, the closer you are to being somebody that's more healthy and getting yourself more healthy so that you can make a great decision. The third tip is something that is a habit of mine, but really comes in just so much more in focus, is personal prayer. So I really recommend that you go back to your prayers. If you pray now, pray harder, pray with more focus, pray with more intent, and remember that we bless our enemies and those that despise and persecute us. And so pray for that person. I actually did that. I didn't know and understand what was really happening, but I just said, please bless this person. And that's all I could say, because quite frankly, that's all I could muster. I was pretty hurt, pretty mad, and I felt like my soul had been torn. So rely on those prayers. Talk to your Heavenly Father. As His daughter, He is so eager and anxious to send little tender mercies and even big miracles your way to help you get through this. You are not alone. My fourth tip is meditation. And luckily, I had started meditating about 1.5 years ago for 10 minutes a day. And it's not a lot, but it really helps center me throughout my week. And I don't visualize, I don't focus on anything. If anything, I just say the number 1 over and over again, or I'll say peace, joy, love, just focus on a couple of words just to keep me in the moment and keep my mind very quiet. And I do think about other things, but when I do, I just say, I'm thinking about other things, and then I go back to my number or the words I've chosen to think about for the day. And it's a great resource. And now I've been doing it long enough that sometimes I'll just be in a moment. I'll just be in my day and I'm like, you know what? I want to go to my place, because there is a place you go in meditation. And it's really, if you do a 10-minute meditation, you won't get to the place until about the last 3 minutes, especially if you're new. But you hit that place right about the time that your timer is going to run out. But since I've been doing it a little bit longer, I can get to that place faster. And so I sit cross-legged with a straight back and my hands in my lap or on my legs. And I just close my eyes and I just go to my place. Just a quiet place, a centering place. So I highly recommend incorporating meditation. The fifth thing I made a huge point to do, because I'm normally an inside exerciser. I'll do the recumbent bike, I'll do yoga, I'll do weight training, but I made it a point to get outside, because luckily it was still summer. It was sunny out. Even this fall, even though it's a little bit chillier, I still get out. I put on my sneakers every morning. I'd throw on a sweatshirt or workout clothes, and I would just go on a brisk walk to get out in the sun and to really just let the bottoms of my feet hit the pavement, because there are studies that there are nerve endings on the bottom of our feet. And when we hit pavement or we're on a treadmill, it actually can help with depression. So I don't know if that's true. I haven't read the study myself, but I'm like, hey, if that's gonna help, I'm gonna do it. So not only did I make sure my feet were hitting the pavement, but I was getting that sunlight. And there's a thing called illumination, like they're called lux, L-U-X. And in a sunny morning, you can get 50,000 lux. And on a cloudy day, I'm going to misstate it, but you can get between 10 and 30 lux. And if you stay inside and just sit by a sunny window, you're only going to get 500 lux. So get outside. I don't know what lux do for you, but they are fantastic just in the way they sound. Come on, lux. Who could come up with a better word than that? Now, the last 3 tips or so kind of deal with things that are going to require some real executive brain thinking. So one thing you need to really try to avoid is being so much in your emotions that you are not being rational or reasonable. And so one tip I have is schedule a time to grieve. So if you still have to get up and go to a job, if you still have to get up and take care of your children, if you still have obligations that you can't just check out of for 4 to 6 weeks, then I recommend you just hunker down, pick yourself up, and do your obligations. But that said, you still need to grieve. And so a lot of times, I will just pick a time that I'm going to think about it, dwell on it, grieve, cry. I have cried for a solid hour. And that was weeks after the event. Closer to the event, I was doubled over in pain. And howls came out of me that sounded just unearthly, unhuman, because it was so devastating. So you need to do that. You need to let yourself go there. You have to let that pain out. At the same time, you have to also keep your executive functioning brain intact. You need to get your passcodes changed. You need to possibly delete people or block people from your social media. You need to open new bank accounts if you have been breached in any way. You need to do the financial and temporal things that are required to keep you protected legally, financially, physically. And if you're in a situation where you need a lawyer and you don't like your lawyer, or you feel like they're not giving you good service, fire your lawyer, get a referral, and get a better lawyer. It does make a difference. A lawyer is not a lawyer is not a lawyer. Speaking from a lawyer. So I even found myself in that situation. I hired a lawyer through my EAP. He was more of a business lawyer guy. And I didn't feel like he really thought my situation was anything more than like, drama, soap opera. So if you don't feel respected by your attorney, get a new one. And get someone that really understands certain personality types you might have to go up against, that aren't going to let things go easy, that are out to hurt you. So have that resource. Another thing, and sorry, I'm totally not sure of where I am number-wise, but another thing I want you to focus on is really keeping your life private. Just because you're going through something doesn't mean everybody is entitled to know your story or to know your business. And I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's your own mother. Sometimes you just need your privacy so that you can really be relying on inspiration that can come only to you, not to anybody else, but to you. And if you're talking too much, if you're, hearing that you're being slandered and you want to defend yourself, don't even bother. Don't even bother. Just maintain your privacy and choose a few close, trusted people that you feel built up by and tell them your story and share with them what you're going through. So between a few trusted friends or family member and your therapist, that should be the only people. Because here's what ends up happening. The more you share, the more you're going to find people are just there for the tantalizing gossip. And they'll listen to your story and even feign empathy, and then you'll never hear from them again. They won't call in 4 days and check up on you. They won't call a week later. They won't call 2 weeks later just to see how you're doing. They just wanted the story. And that feels pretty sucky. So I recommend telling only those that have always been ride or die and have your back and build you up and tell you the things that you've forgotten about yourself that you maybe need to remember. Before I end this video, I want to give you just a couple of don'ts. I like to focus on things we should do rather than the things we should not do. But that said, I think there are some really important don'ts. And one of them is, and trust me, I get a lot of pushback on this. I've always had this opinion. And I have close friends that I've shared my opinion with that have chosen to do it another way. And you definitely can do that. But in my sincere opinion, do not get in another relationship. Do not get into another relationship. Do not jump into anything. And it's so tempting because we want that pain to go away. We just want to feel happy and hopeful about something else. And usually there's someone there willing to be that person for you. But don't do it. Rely on yourself. Rely on your God. Rely on your closest friends, and give yourself that time to heal and to become whole again so that you are choosing well. And you know what? If the situation is reversed and you're well and you're whole and you meet somebody going through a divorce, for example, don't date them. Let their divorce be final. Let a little time pass. Because here's what happens is you jump in and you heal that person, and then as soon as they're healed, you're ready to get married and they're ready to date. They feel great again. You know, they feel like patting you on the head and telling you, hey, thanks for all you did for me. And also, you knew them weak, and they want to be with someone that sees them as strong, someone that they can have a fresh start with. So be willing to wait. You have to trust that if that situation is meant to be, it will be meant to be in 6 months. It will be meant to be in 12 months. But give yourself that time and that space and that healing. My second don't, and I've mentioned this earlier, but don't defend yourself and don't trash the other person and spread the story around to garner people on your side or sympathy. It's not dignified, and it's not a good look, and it ultimately will backfire. And if the other person is doing it to you, let them do it. This is the best advice that my friends actually have taken. And whether it's another woman or an ex that is doing underhanded, lying, dishonest, deceitful, or taking some facts and twisting them to suit their narrative, that's okay. You remain centered and dignified in what you know to be the truth. Sure, I'm sure you had shortcomings. We all do. We all make mistakes. We all have shortcomings. But in a healthy relationship, those things are forgiven, and we move on, and we keep trying, and we give each other grace, knowing that each other are not going to ever be truly perfected people. We can be trying, but we're not going to get there for a long time. And that's the beauty of long-term relationships, is if both people are committed, you really can weather all kinds of storms. And as long as both are committed to becoming better and just being closer to their relationship with God and are committed to you, you can get through anything. If someone chooses to throw in the towel, or if out of necessity you've had to throw in the towel, then you need to be ready to face those consequences and know that you made the right decision for what you knew you had to do. I'm super grateful to have had this chance to talk to you candidly. I hope this helps someone, somewhere, if anybody watches my videos. But just remember, if you can keep God at the center for your protection and for your supplication, He'll provide them. I promise. Don't use some dude as your substitute that's going to rescue you. He's not going to rescue you. You know who will rescue you? Your Heavenly Father. Because He can send tiny mercies, tender mercies, not tiny, tender mercies, and He can even send big miracles. Because if you are destitute financially, if you don't currently have a job, He'll help you get a job. He'll help you find a way to take care of your family and provide you resources and the money you need and the opportunities you need to take care of yourself. Use your executive brain and make a list. So I want you to make a list and say, this is my healing plan, and just list out a few habits you're willing to start cultivating, little things you're going to do every single day that takes care of you, to work and doing some habits in the time it's going to take to heal, because ultimately it's time that heals. But we can definitely make that process faster with introspection, some outside help, and some inner strength. So, good luck to you. I wish you health and healing and happiness, because you will be happy again. All right. Well, this is Yoga Wellness Money. Please visit us over at yogawellnessmoney.com, and I'll talk to you next time. Oh, next time we'll talk about vision boards. I was going to talk about vision boards anyway, but I felt like this was a more pressing topic, probably for me to share. Probably this was for me more than it is for you. Anyway, have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.